There we are.
Oh.
Hey, Oliver. I was just on my WhatsApp and I looked up and there you are.
So did I.
We're back physically.
I saw tons of info from your trip.
Yeah. No, we had a great trip in Japan, and we were talking about skiing there because your son is an excellent skier. I saw by your WhatsApp videos.
I got to know my wife when skiing, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
incredible.
We're king skiers. So.
That's
true.
That's sweet. Well,
you are like a beginner, I have the feeling.
I like to say advanced intermediate, and it's a total lie.
But hey, it's room for improvement.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, we catch up on WhatsApp quite a bit, but it's always great to come back to conference. I think, socializing must have world applications as well, because, we can enjoy catching up and having fun together, but then these social connections actually can apply to make a difference in the real world, like Africa. We were talking the other day, for example, about some of the charitable trips that you all do in Africa. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we don't do the classical ICAPs. That's not our strategy. The strategy which we developed essentially 2 years ago is to really go into teaching. So training surgery, and so we do that through NGOs because we don't have the expertise to work there. But we had a very long selection process, very dedicated selection process, and we have 3 NGOs which we cooperate with and who are doing projects along our lines, what we think is really useful. And obviously we need to audit these as well. It's charitable money, right? So that's the money you have to be most careful with. And we are a charity.
Yeah.
So I think you need to audit and just see that things are going the way they were planned to be. And I think that's just, auditing or monitoring, whatever you want to call it, is something we simply need to do.
I remember going to an AAO Gold Rush charitable event last year, and just socializing and running into Susan McDonald,
right,
who's involved with ICOR, which does work exclusively in Tanzania. And I learned at that social event that night that she focuses on Tanzania because it's one pocket of Africa that they can really focus on, control their efforts, and again see ROI out of that. So I think it makes sense, again, connecting socially and then figuring out how to dynamically work together toward the future. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely. I mean, I think, there's so many good projects which are out there. 4 of us from ESCRS went to a COEXA meeting and did wet labs there. So they were wet lab instructors. And so, we're starting this, let me say, good communication with that region. And I think, and we're going, a few of us, I think 3 of us are going this summer again for wet lab training to try to push that as well and get more people from sub-Saharan Africa, more physicians to go there, get taught, get trained, and then go back to their local sites and do surgery. I think the really important thing is that you have something which is really sustainable, and at the end of the day, if it's a real project, like you're building your own sort of facility, that it's being taken over by the national health system, ideally, to really be long-lasting and supported. We should try to support financially and as well, obviously with some expertise, but at the end of the day, the locals should be doing it because that only makes sense. Everything else doesn't really make any sense from my perspective, long term. So I think that, that's why we, and ESCRS really is about education.
Yeah.
This is about education, what we're doing here. So why not do education there? And the only issue we have is, and that's a technical issue, but it's not an unimportant one, we are phacosurgeons. But
right.
As you know, in many of these regions, small incision cataract surgery makes much more sense. We don't really have very many among us who are actually,
You're probably learning from COEXA and their surgeons as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I think, but there's collaborations where you have, very experienced small incision cataract surgery from other parts of the world, which actually will come in and train the surgeons there in small incision cataract surgery, which, we can also support.
I found it fascinating that it also came up when we were talking about the use of other voices in our community, like techs, because as you've said, some of this stuff is just lying around and not being used because of a very minute reason. And that could be fixed by not an ophthalmologist, but maybe a service engineer.
Absolutely. I think that's and I think, this helps, of course, because theoretically, many things you can probably do just by, using the camera and showing, with direct video that, what is the problem, and that may be resolved very easily by somebody who's local, who's not even a service person,
right,
who's not a technician. But at the end of the day, that's one of the real problems if you use high-tech equipment and then there's nobody to service it. It's not only about the actual surgeon, but there's a lot of around it which needs to be taken care of. So it's also training other personnel to actually, for diagnostics, for care, for post-op care, and so forth. So it's not only about the surgeon.
Well, I imagine also when you're leaving Africa, it doesn't mean that you're leaving it behind, because you can connect with communities like COEXA. WhatsApp is majorly used internationally. Probably the world can connect more than before, and that additional education component can help to advance things as well. What do you think?
Absolutely, and I think also the idea of having, for example, simulators and doing distance learnings. That means that the trainer is actually sitting somewhere in Europe, and the trainee is on the simulator, somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, is also a new option which we didn't have a few years ago. And also actually during surgery, having just a normal microscope with a camera, but being able to transfer that image to another part of the world and actually have surgeons say, what I would do now is this and this. We need to use these technologies, and I think that will open up new doors, and I think will be great for training purposes, and that's really what we're about. I think now we have a real good strategy, and we're going to roll that out over the next few years. I think something which is also demanding on the one hand, but actually quite something which we really believe in and we want to do, and there's a strong motivation, and that's also rewarding from that perspective when we see things are happening.
Well, thanks so much for sharing us this Africa initiative from the ESCRS. Fascinating and good work.
And also, don't forget Barcelona.
There we go. That's where it all happens. That's where the magic happens. Now, give me one of these. Good to see you, brother.
Take care. I went through the whole room.